Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for the ones who are living in the Far East. I would like to welcome all of you to the Responsible Recruitment and Production webinar. Before starting, actually, I would like to mention about some practices. Sorry. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write your questions on the question box just right side of the webinar tool. And before starting, just let's a quick practice. If you can hear us, could you please write yes in the question box so that I will check it? Great. Awesome. Yep. Today, we have valuable speakers. Ms. Damla Taşkın from UNHCR. She's working as a Senior Livelihoods and Economic Inclusion Officer. Ms. Özlem Güneyli from Karbel Textile. She's working as a Process Development Leader and CSR Manager. And Mr. Saiful Milat, he's a Foreign Network Representative for Bangladesh. I would also like to thank to all our speakers for their participation. And we will be together for 1 hour actually today in this webinar. And at this time, we will have many insights about responsible recruitment from Turkey, from Bangladesh, and also the producer side, including the implementation as well as the continuous improvement. At the end of the webinar, in the last 10 minutes, we will have a Q&A session so that we will sorry, we will be delightful to give our responses to your questions as well. Before giving the stage to Damla Taşkın, I will very briefly explain why we organized this webinar actually, and I will stress out the importance of this topic. Regarding responsible, I would like to start with responsible recruitment actually. As all we know, recruitment has so many difficulties, and recruiting responsibly is a more complex issue than we thought ever. We can see many labor issues during the recruitment process, and we all know that workers are being exploited even before they enter to the factories. And migrants, immigrants, and also the refugees are the most vulnerable people to these practices, to these responsible recruitment practices actually. And at the same time, neither the customers nor the employers are aware of this. This was the responsible recruitment importance. And when it comes to responsible production, the next slide, please. Responsible production is becoming more and more important in supply chains, and it's becoming a global issue, as all we know. It's not only our only production, but also related to environment, the regions, the continents, the customers, as well as the facilities, the factories, employees. It includes energy saving, water consumption, chemical management. Of course, it's not limited with this. So, how do we proceed? In this slide, you can see many steps for responsible recruitment and production. As you can see, mapping supply chain, identifying the risk, defining actions and remediations, continuous improvements, stakeholder engagements are one of these steps. So, Ms. Damla Taşkın and Mr. Saiful Milat will give insights about these steps. Actually, can you back the previous slide, please? The previous one. Okay, thank you. As I said, Ms. Damla Taşkın and Mr. Saiful Milat from Turkey and from Bangladesh, they will give some insights to us, and they will help us to see how to map our supply chain, how to identify our risks, how to define actions and remediation. And Ms. Özlem Güneyli will explain the implementation part, and she will explain good practices for sustainability, for continuous improvement, as well as stakeholder engagement. As I said, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to explain what M4A has done so far, and we will finish with a Q&A session. So let's start with the Damla Taşkın. Yes, Ms. Damla Taşkın, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm very honored to be with you all today. Thank you, Unfori, to the very kind invitation. We have been collaborating with you in many countries, and I'm very happy to be collaborating with you as well now in Turkey. So let's see if we can make the slide work. As you're all aware, migration, of course, has become a very big problem all over the world. It's a big issue. And accordingly, of course, sometimes we hear about refugees or migrants in our countries, but this has become absolutely a reality of our world. And we all have to work, of course, taking into consideration all of these facts. Okay. So, do I have control? Do you guys have control? I think I do have control. Okay. So currently there are 79.5 million refugees, forcibly displaced people all over the world, and this is an all-time high. Therefore, we at UNHCR are trying to do our best to work together with these people who are very much vulnerable and to make them access protection and their rights. It's, as you see here, it's 45.7 internally displaced people, 4.2 million asylum seekers, meaning that their statuses are not verified. Their cases are being currently under assessment. And of course, 3.6 million Venezuelans, as you might have heard as well. No, I don't have control. Could you click somebody? Because I don't have control. Okay.
You have the full control. Let me give it back to you. Sorry, I can see that you have control. Okay. I can take it if that's okay.
No,
yeah. So this is not.
I have control. So sorry to our audience, it's a bit of a complicated system. So United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is the leading agency related to refugee response and leadership. And we have been established in 1950 as a specialized agency of the United Nations. Oh God, this is not good. So what does UNHCR do? We work, of course, for advocacy, for protection of the refugees. Refugees versus migrants is also a very important issue because we work with the people that have that don't have a choice but have to leave their countries because of terrorism, war, or fear of persecution. Therefore, we work with all of these people related to their protection. We carry out camp management, resettlement. Of course, education is something that we try to make them access, and livelihoods is very important as of course, we don't want these people to be idle while they are being, while they are refugees and they're forcibly outside of their country. So we work with many of these people all over the world, and I'm the one that works with refugees related to livelihoods and economic inclusion, currently in the Turkey country operation. So an important topic is also Global Compact on Refugees, which is the second, actually the third agreement related to refugees since the 1951 convention that UNHCR absolutely sticks to and works towards. And Global Compact on Refugees states that migration has become a global issue and everybody has to take their responsibility, including other countries rather than the host countries, because of course a refugee crosses a border and then stays in the country which is neighboring, like our colleague from Bangladesh will probably be explaining. As you know, currently we have millions of refugees in Turkey because of especially the war in Syria. So if we would like to have a look at the number of refugees in Turkey, we have currently 3.6 million Syrian refugees in the country. And there are also many others as well coming from other nationalities. Before, of course, in 2011, the numbers were very small. But since the war started, we have 3.6 million refugees currently residing in the country. They are under temporary protection. So if we would like to have a look, as you will see, almost half of them are children that are usually born in Turkey. Then, of course, normally what we see is that refugees live in sheltered, in temporary shelter centers, so in refugee camps. However, of course, currently in the country, as you see, there are only 59,000 that live in refugee camps, which we normally manage in other parts of the country. But in Turkey, the leadership belongs to the government of Turkey, for which we are very grateful. Therefore, the refugees that are not living in camps are living amongst us in urban areas together with us. Therefore, it means that access to income generation is a very important aspect of the work that we do currently in Turkey. So Syria is in the southeast, as you see, but the majority of the refugees are in Istanbul. They are in Istanbul because of course, access to income generation, as there are many work opportunities in the west side of the world, of the country. And accordingly, of course, as you will see, there are many that are still staying in the border provinces in the southeast of the country. These are all from the website of the Director General of Migration Management, with whom we collaborate very much. Then, of course, we have also refugees coming from other countries, as we have stated. Afghans, Iraqis, Iranians, Somalis are the ones that we work with as well. So for us, all refugees are called persons of concern to UNHCR. So people seeking asylum are always welcome to access their rights and access the services with us. Of course, we have this very much challenge that we are all faced with. Private sector faces with that as well, but loss of livelihoods is a very important factor for refugees currently in the country, because poverty is usually something that refugees are always hand in hand, because when you leave your country, of course, you leave all of your assets, all of your diplomas, your skills sometimes there, which sometimes are not valid in the country. Well, an important aspect is that we used to do always emergency work, but because the number of refugees and migrants are increasing all over the world, what we now do is to work within the framework of development of the countries, so that refugees are always taken into consideration while the development plans are being made. What we do is then establish, of course, sustainable partnerships, and the partnership that we have with Amfori is also an important one for us as well. So UNHCR Livelihood Unit plays an important role, because we are the ones that want to render refugees self-reliant, so that they are not aid dependent and they can practice their skills and work in the host country. So it means that whenever they're given the opportunity, they can also, of course, become productive and socioeconomically contributing members of the society. As you see, there are many vacancies in the country. So we have an unemployment problem in Turkey, but we have also labor market gaps that are not filled. I'm sure Ms. Güneyli will confirm me as well that sometimes it's difficult to find workers, especially in the apparel sector, where we have really a big part of the GDP of the country. So what we do is, the H is unfortunately, because of the format, sorry about that, it wasn't like that in the original presentation. What we do is we work also with the host community nationals, the members of the Turkish society. Of course, we always include in the programs that we carry out. We always focus on the labor market gaps, and we train the refugees in such a way that they will become socioeconomically contributing members of the society as long as they stay in the country. So how do we work? We, of course, work with the public sector, with the private sector, and with non-governmental organizations. We work with the ministries. We're very lucky, because we're not that lucky in various countries, that the government would like to collaborate with us for labor market integration, labor markets, and social cohesion together with the refugees. We prepare such documents, for example, which could be of interest to you as well, as there are work permits and refugees are allowed to work, of course. We prepare all of these with the ministry in collaboration. We also have prepared this in collaboration with the private sector, because of course the code of conduct, the working culture, etc., are important matters that need to be known by potential or currently working refugees. This is also quick access to work permit, again prepared with the ministry. So how do we work? The language, the Arabic language, which is of course dominantly spoken by the refugees, is not the language of the country in Turkey. Therefore, we always start with language training. Then we have vocational training, always in line with the labor market gaps of the country. Then we have skills building training in order to make them access jobs very quickly, such as CV preparation, health and safety at the workplace, etc. Then we support them related to work permit support, and of course, so that they can access the labor market. So we have a continuum. We start with all the procedures with the government. we intervene with non-governmental organizations, with municipalities, governors, so that skill is built. Then accordingly, we collaborate with the private sector, just like we do with the Turkish representative on foreign the country, for example, so that refugees can access actually jobs. What you will see here is many sectors, and these are all in line with the labor market gaps. But dominantly, we work especially with the apparel industry because it provides employment to the country very much, but there are labor market gaps related to that as well. Some photos from what we have been doing. There are technical skills as well. Sometimes women don't want to work in a factory, but would like to become productive at home. So we support them so that they can at least socialize and have some access to income generation as well. Then we also work with some technology giants. For example, we work with Google as well, and we carry out various training programs. These will look familiar to you. We also collaborate with municipalities so that we procure equipment and try to render the training sustainable even when we pull out with our funds, with our personnel, so that the municipality owns the workshop and will continue to provide skills building to refugees and also to Turkish citizens, of course. We have always child-friendly spaces, as in this industry, many women work, as you know. Also, this is again from a municipality in Istanbul, where we have come up with a brand, and they have responsible production there, where mostly refugee women work. Then we have another project with Ankara Metropolitan Municipality, of which we are very proud of. We have one with Istanbul as well, by the way. They have allocated 13 acres of land for us. They have built on it for us and allocated one building, and we have procured all the equipment so that sustainable vocational training, technical vocational training can take place. As you will see, that's really an industrial size of apparel workshop there that we have. We have also machinery, which is also one of the labor gaps of the country. We have pastry workshop, child-friendly space, of course. We have all of these machinery, the CNC, hydraulics, pneumatics, etc., because Turkey also exports and produces many machinery. These are some photos only. And I'll be sharing the presentation, of course, with all of you. So if you're interested in the details, you can have a look later on. Then we have the phenomenon of entrepreneurship, because this is also one of the areas that requires some attention from us. Interestingly, there are currently 9,460 enterprises that are established by Syrians. So I'm not talking about the corner sweet shop. These are really limited liability and joint stock companies. So we encourage them to expand and to sustain their businesses so that accordingly they can be taxpayers, employers themselves, and also showcase to the host community that when they're given the right opportunity, they're able to become really economically contributing members of the society as well. So what we do as UNHCR is we provide training to them, and we have also been providing grants to them so that they have the financial means to be able to establish their businesses. As you see, almost 5,000 people were trained by us related to at least entrepreneurial mindset, because not everybody has to become business owners, obviously, but we would like everyone to have an innovative and entrepreneurial type of mindset. Then another one is the agricultural program that we have, which is one of the very painful areas, as you know, in the value chain of also apparel industry. We have been collaborating with the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. We provided the full funding to them so that they have trained more than 3,000 beneficiaries. They have also trained them on the job so that in collaboration with the private sector, they can access income as well. So we work with the private sector as well. Like I stated, we work very much with Amphoric, for example, many of their members, because we know that, of course, without the private sector, employment cannot take place, and they're the ones that always have the responsibility, and they're the responsibility of the economies, actually. Therefore, we work with multinationals, we work with companies, with chambers, organized industrial zones as well. And we provide lots of support, such as the fee of the work permit, matching the labor supply and demand as well. So what can you do? What do people do from the refugee perspective? Of course, if you have labor market gaps, if you have some unfilled positions in your company, then you can also consider refugees to become your potential employees, because we never say don't consider the host community national, so don't hire a Turkish person, but hire a refugee instead. But what we say is be inclusive and give them a chance as well if they're interested. And if they're candidates from the refugee community, please give them a chance as well. Then accordingly, of course, collaboration within the framework of entrepreneurship is something that we encourage as well, because production according to refugee needs is something that we encourage as well. And increasing social cohesion is one of our overall targets, as of course working together, learning together, both Turkish citizens and refugees come closer to each other, because usually what we see is that there is fear of the unknown rather than facts. So the important things to consider are, of course, the legal framework. We always have to work within that. Protection, meaning we should not create any harm for any refugee. So we have to be, of course, considerate of the facts and the realities that they live in. They might sometimes have limitation against movement. So that's an issue that we need to consider as well. But one of the very important topics is to improve social cohesion in the workplace. When we see that refugees work together with Turkish community members, then those fears are alleviated, and of course a friendship starts. For example, in one of the companies that we collaborate with, it's actually an exporting company as well, we have facilitated the employment of over 200 refugees in only one workplace, which is a big number because they were not able to find workers to work in their factory. And accordingly, the first year they stated that, of course, they had football games that they were playing, and the teams were refugees versus the Turkish nationals. And then the next year they saw that the teams became mixed, and there was no prejudice or discrimination or saying you're a refugee, you cannot play in our game. So everybody from different nationalities were playing together in the same team, in the football team that they had. So that's a very small example, but of course it is very much indicating that when they work together and when they can speak each other's language, then all of these prejudices are really debunked. This was also the case, again, where we had a representative of the employees in one of the factories as well, not representative of the refugee employees, but acting as a representative of all of the employees. So it is really indicative of what responsible recruitment can do. So not to have the prejudices and accordingly give equal opportunities to refugees as well. We have touched the lives of around 180,000 people from livelihoods perspective. So it means we have, of course, raised awareness, we have provided training to these people, we have also referred them to various jobs in collaboration with our private sector partners and also in collaboration with our public sector partners. This is it from me. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Ms. Damla Taşkın. You are really doing very good jobs and studies on the field, and just focusing on continuous improvement. I'm aware of that 15 minutes are not enough for you to explain all the works from your side, but at least the participants will have had useful tips and the useful insights from the region. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I tried to rush through. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Milad, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mugay. Can you go back to the first slide, please? There was one more slide. I was trying to control and
Milad,
all right.
You
I have control?
Control, yes.
All right. Thanks, Naomi. This is not just the first page of my slides. Rather, I wanted to show you what Bangladesh looks like, first of all, because most of you people are today, whoever is attending, as per the list I saw from my colleague Mugay, that or heard from her, that most of you people are from Turkey and a lot from European side. So many of you may not know where Bangladesh is exactly. This is what Bangladesh looks like. This is Bangladesh flag looks like, and this is what I look like. And you can see me on the video as well. Why I show you this map is because on the right hand side you see India very largely, on the left side also around the Bangladesh map also India. A small portion is Myanmar, a corner side of the southern side of the country, where basically the blue thing is the ocean, and Myanmar is hardly in a very corner thing. So you can imagine how the movement can take place, and this is no ocean or mountain or anything. So this is basically a plain land that they can walk into the country. So I'll come to that when we talk about what responsible recruitment and production can have impact for a country like Bangladesh, and especially with the refugee perspective for Bangladesh. All right, moving on. All right, I'll quickly explain you. Oops. Sorry, it's moving too fast. Still went back to Damla, sorry. What is migration? Oh. Can you do it for me, Naomi, for a few seconds? I have hardly any slides, and it looks like it's
too
a bit
fast, Milat. It clicks too fast. Just need to do and wait.
True. All right. I'm not going to explain what migration and immigration looks like, but for many of us who are joining from the member's office or the buying offices, and also from producer side, it's good to know what migration and the difference between migrant and immigrants. We say the temporary movement is migrant, whereas the permanent residency is immigrant. For migration can occur within the borders of the same country or cross international borders, whereas immigration occurs when a person crosses an international border and becomes a permanent resident in another country. In migration, when we explain it, we do not include higher education, family migration, or extremely high-skilled migration, what we call expats. So due to the geographical location and socio-economic position of Bangladesh, there are three types of people movement. A lot of people from Bangladesh migrate to Middle East, and a few to Far East as well, and a few to Europe. When we talk about the domestic travel, also I'll come and cover on that from the furthest district of the capital and or the industrial cities for work purpose, for in search of job or things. And the third category is Rohingya people from Myanmar migrating to Bangladesh since 2017, and we will find a fine-tuning between what we are talking about when we are talking about the Syrian movement and Turkey. Well, it is not as much like the 3.6 million which my previous speakers have covered, and also great to know that half of them are born in Turkey, so children, and they are actually took place to birth. In Bangladesh, perspective will be a little different for few reasons. We'll come to that. From Bangladesh, when we talk about the workers going to another country, about 8 million Bangladeshi workers in the Middle Eastern countries and many more globally unaccounted. Bangladesh is the third highest recipient of remittance in South Asia in 2019 and 11th globally. Millions of low-skilled migrant workers are vulnerable to recruitment malpractices, including exorbitant recruitment costs, discrimination, and abuse. When we talk about recruitment costs, you can easily understand there is an agent or third party in between, and that makes it more difficult and more abusive for them. Domestic migration, if we talk about due to the size and location of the country, it's not really such a large country. If you go longitudinally from the bottom to the top of the country, if you consider our size with Turkey or any other large country, even India, China, the domestic migration does not really matter due to the language and cultural difference, but still there are some basic and non-significant dialect and lifestyle habits. Many move into the vicinity of the workstation. So when you talk about like for work, if you go to another city or another district, they actually become the resident of that area. They seldom go back to their own place. So it's not as difficult as a large country when we talk about domestic migration. Nevertheless, there are question of disparity. There are question of doing partial favor to people from one place to another place, and some people are looked down upon. There are complaints like this. Of course, they are not reported very widely. That's about domestic migration, and I would say the good news is that the World Bank, the ILO, IOM are collaborating to develop indicators for worker paid recruitment costs to support the SDG of promoting safe, orderly, and regular migration. The migrated workers, when we talk about the next slide, the previous slide actually, when we talk about what happened with the migrated workers who came from, who left this country for they're living in Middle East and Far East, they were passing very difficult days, losing jobs due to lockdown, and also when they returned to home and supposed to go back to workplace, they had difficult situations, not being paid fairly, or the things as well promised. When we come to Rohingya issue, the third kind of migration in question of responsible recruitment or production. Today's subject, Rohingya issue, you know very well, the Myanmar government or the military, whatever they have done, the torture and abuse for these people, that they had to leave the country. More than 1 million since 2017 entered Bangladesh, while over last 50 years, many fled to Bangladesh at different times following repeated and inhuman abuse and torture by Myanmar military and regime. This is not unknown and uncommon to any of you, especially my previous learned speaker Damla said about the representing UNHCR. You know what are the this scenario is different than of the Syrian refugees in Turkey. In Bangladesh, they have come not to stay here permanently, they are supposed to move back, so the shelters and camps are also temporary in nature. The lower picture, as you can see, is an arrangement was prepared by the Bangladeshi government for them to stay not permanently but for a longer period, giving them a work skill opportunity and career opportunity, or even to give vocational training and grow them, or give them a chance to live their own life, their own way in an area. But they, you'll be surprised to know that they heavily rejected. So the good thing about the whole scenario, or the whole dilemma, is that they actually want to go back to their country, and that is very common. I'm sure that you feel it this way. If you are supposed to be confined or forcefully kept in a country, you would always like to go back to your home country, to your comfort zone. Everybody has a home. The homeless people, the pictures, we have not put any devastating picture, any disturbing picture for which it would make more sympathetic or empathetic for many people. That's not our point of discussion today. So we have only tried to show what the situation is and how they have, what Bangladesh government has done so far. Can you move please for me, Naomi? Okay. What did Amphori do? We have set a roundtable discussion with high-level stakeholders to discuss Rohingya issue, among other discussions. You know, like the Rohingya camps are on the southern side of the country, which I have shown you before, is basically around 400 to 500, 450 to 500 kilometers away from the capital city, and around 150 kilometers from Chittagong, the port city. So the nearest industrial area or the workplace, possible workplace for them, is 150 to 200 kilometers away. Where they are, they have moved in, is not really an industrial place or not really a workplace. So for them, and on top of that, they are confined. They are kept and monitored to be living within the camp area, the confined area. So there is not really, they are not really disturbing our regular workforce, workplaces, and industrial or business things, like and they are like Turkish government is offering them the Syrian people or other nationals, whoever have moved to Turkey, to give them a work opportunity. We have not thought as such as of now. Internationally, everyone is pursuing for them to go back to their country, but we still came up with this discussion on our roundtable discussion, among other important discussions, because many of the people from around the world asks Bangladesh the top 3-4 questions the situation comes up in any kind of discussion. But we can say they are not as vulnerable as in any other country. So it is not the top priority to discuss about their recruitment or their job opportunity in the country as of now. But we have done these 2 discussions where one was hosted by the Amfori president, Christian Ewart, and another by Dr. Pierre Groning, the director of advocacy in 2018. And I have not much more. Next slide, please. What more Amfori did, we are talking about not Amfori as a whole, but that I'm sure Moge will cover. I will say what we did from Amfori Bangladesh. In 2017, we have done 16 organizations, including the FTA, the Foreign Trade Association, the previous name of Amfori, along with FLA, ETI, as you know, the Fair Labor Association and Ethical Trade Initiative, APFPA, expressed their concerns in a joint letter to the President of Myanmar and in meetings with government ministers. In 2018, I have already told you, like we have done 2 roundtable discussions. 2019, we have initiated a research work and prepared a brief paper for members on Rohingya situation and how it affects the business or it concerns our Amfori members. In 2018 and 19, we delivered 10 capacity building workshops for Amfori members and producers on responsible recruitment. In 2020, we have delivered 2 capacity building workshops rest on hold due to the pandemic, as you can imagine. The learning objectives, next slide, please. Okay, and now you can still go back to the previous one, please. Go back. Thank you. The last 2 bullet points, as you can see, the capacity building workshop that we're talking about, the learning objectives of these capacity building workshops, which is meant for the producers and also a little bit for the members who joins, is to make them understand the benefits and challenges of responsible recruitment and how to mitigate risks, to understand how to prevent and manage supply chain risks in the employment and recruitment workers. Third is understand remediation procedures in the framework of the Amfori BSS system. Fourth, and the last one, is the plan the steps required to improve due diligence and remediation process. These are the learning objectives of the responsive recruitment. So when we talk about the capacity building workshop that we deliver in different years, is a huge work that we do in collaboration with Amfori members and producers. Next slide, please. Next slide. If you know, whoever is in the audience or on the plenary as well, I'm sure many of you know the Amfori BSA Code of Conduct, and there are all these principles, but the one of the important is the no precarious employment. I think that covers the responsible recruitment thing. What precarious employment means is an important principle in the Amfori BSA Code, and it is required for Amfori members, and as per this Code of Conduct, that Amfori members and producers abide by these laws. There are notions like skilled workers are hard to find and labor laws are becoming tighter, but we would say these precarious employment practices will aid to ensure fair labor practices and right worker for the right job, and also stops child labor, forced labor, bonded labor, discrimination and abuses, etc. As per our BSA and for BSA Code of Conduct. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. I'm at the end of my delivery. If you have any question, I'll probably look for you during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Milad, for your fruitful tips and insights from the region from Bangladesh. There are some questions. I will ask those questions to you at the end of the webinar in the last 10 minutes. Thank you again.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Ms. Özlem Güneyli, the stage is yours. We will have
I have
fruitful insights regarding continuous improvement and implementation part. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for inviting us, Ms. Mige, and to Amfori. I will try to summarize in 10 minutes all of them. Okay, do I control or you control the slides?
You are controlling the slides.
Okay. But no.
It's fine. I can control them, and just if you can just
Yeah,
tell
you can control.
when to move, it's
Yeah,
fine.
no problem. You can control. Yeah, the next one we can see. Yeah, I will first try to give a rough idea about who is Karbel. Karbel is the largest and the most reputable shirt producer in the whole EMEA area in the high quality segment products. And the next. Yeah. We are in the apparel industry since 1996, and we are serving approximately 200 customers. And we have 2 factories in Turkey. One is located in Istanbul, and the other one is located in Urfa. And you can see our production capacity in 1 year. These were the 2018 numbers. And $85 million was our turnover in that year. The next one. The next slide, please. And what we produce, we are mostly producing men's shirts. It is changing from formal shirt to casual shirt, and printed ones to garment type ones, and non-iron shirts, these which we have developed for the first time in Turkey. Next one. Yeah. Now, our facilities in Istanbul, we have more competence, and we are producing special orders, small quantities. Here, we have to use flexible lines, and we need more qualified people here, workers here. And in Urfa, we are making more bigger quantities with lower cost, and we have the advantage of here the wage subsidies and immigrant workers and young workers, of course. We are exporting to Europe mostly at the beginning. Sorry, I'm the previous one. We are exporting 85% of our products to Europe, as Germany, Netherlands, and France, and UK as well, and US, and 15% is in Turkey, Turkish brands, high quality brands. And how we joined to BSCI? We have joined to BSCI in 2009. The next slide. It is. We have joined to BSCI in 2009, but we began to work with national brands in 2016, where the impact of the international brands was more important at that point. I began to work as social compliance in 2018. At the beginning of 2019, we achieved to have rating A. Now, again, we will be audited at the end of 2020. Next one. I will tell you how we achieved rating A. Of course, we have attended to Unfor BSCI workshops, and me and my colleagues from HR department. And we have examined each performance area again deeply. And we have prepared our reports, and we have shared these reports with all GSR-related departments. We have worked together with top management, human resources, occupational health and safety, which is the most important part, this was, and administrative affairs, this was also very important, and of course production. On the contrary of general practice, in our factory, not only GSR team, but also the other departments work together. Generally, in factories, it happens that only GSR needs to work about it, but this is not the situation. Next one. Next slide, please. Yeah, I put here some the previous one. Yeah, I put here the workshops that me and my colleagues attended. You can see that these all workshops were in 2018. And then next slide, we have also used Amphori's references to prepare our politics and policies and procedures. And also we have attended to roundtables that is prepared by Amphori and Mudem about refugees. The next one. These all helped us. And now, why we work and register refugees? Now, as Mrs. Damla said, in Turkey, in apparel industry, the workforce is decreasing. The young generation didn't want to work in labor-intensive jobs. So the importance of the refugees comes at that point. And we need qualified and talented workers. These are also needed. And Syrian refugees are already living in Turkey. It is better to have them at work. This will be helpful for both for them and society. This is a win-win situation for us. So it is not a problem for us to have them in our facilities. And unregistered, when you are talking about unregistered work, this is unfair. This creates unfair competition. So we believe in fair trade. So we are registering and we are working with different parts. And you can here see our employees in 2020. Here we are total 657 employee. White collar is at 24% of the total, and 76% is blue collar. And we have one Japan foreign worker in white colors, but most of our foreign workers are in blue color part. In Istanbul, we have 4 Syrian and 1 Moldovan, one Turkoman, and Urfa, we have 7 Syrian. This is 2-3% of our all total employees for now. As we can, I can check that 1.5 million refugees are in working age. So Karbel is only a drop of water in the big sea, you can see for now. And the next one. Yes, how we joined to these programs and how we hired these Syrian refugees. We have attended to Turkish Employment Agency iş course on the job training program. Here in 2019, in Istanbul, we have begun with 30 workers, and now 10 workers are still working in Istanbul. And in Urfa, it was 30 at the beginning, and 9 is still working, both Turkish and Syrian ones. Next one, please. And we have advantage, of course, in Urfa, as 20% of the population is refugees in Urfa. So they are already familiar to live with Syrian people in Urfa. And when Urfa established in 2014, from the very beginning, we are using these incentives in Urfa. So and government continues to have incentives at this area. So Urfa is better for cultural way as well. Next one. And how we integrated refugees into workforce. First, of course, when they begin, they have occupational health and safety trainings and employment, about all employment functions. and our grievance mechanisms are introduced to them. And again, separate worker representatives have been selected for grievance issues, and all trainings have been provided in their local language, and all disciplinary principles have also explained to them. And we work with them to follow up the process for the sustainability. The benefits of this mechanism created more transparency for us and allowed to take the actions immediately and sustainability. The next one. Yeah, when we come to this year, unfortunately, there is COVID pandemic and the orders decreased by 40% from our customers. And this affected us. We cannot recruit new employees, even the refugees, of course. So in order to join to the new programs, we have to wait for the more certain environments and for new orders. So we are at waiting stage for now. And that's it for us from our side. If you have further questions, you can contact with us. And thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks a lot to Ms. Özlem Güneyli. It's really very good to see that you are working collaboratively with Amfori and also follow Amfori's guidances and BSEI and BEPI workshops as well. Thank you for your presentation. And
Always.
that's my part. Thank you. And that's my part. I will be very quick since the time is about over. As I said, I'm going to only mention about what Amfori has done so far for the refugees and in terms of responsible recruitment and production. Next slide, please. We have started to do our works in 2014. At the beginning, we informed all our members about the Syrian refugee issue and explained the importance of that. And then we continued to organizing roundtables for Syrians. We have invited many NGOs, many members, and discussed on that important topic. And again, in the same year, in 2015, Amfori and its members worked together to lobby for the regulation of work permits for the Turkish government. And the next year, we published our first guidance document. We have also translated it into Arabic, English, and Turkish, and shared it with our members and producers as well. In 2017, we organized a briefing session for BSEI participants, for Amfori members, I mean. We have also invited the producers, auditing companies, and non-members in collaboration with UNHCR and with other NGOs. Next one. Again, it's same year in 2017, we organized a roundtable in Hamburg and discussed whether we can, what we can do together with the Amfori members, UN agencies, and other NGOs, as well as relevant parties. In 2017 again, Amfori, other associations, and 20 apparel and footwear brands, we have signed a letter and sent it to Turkish president calling for adjustment to the work permit program just for the lobbying. Again, in the same year, we have updated our guidance package. We have revised it. And then we conducted the survey to see the gaps for the current status analysis. And we have made some decisions for the needs and the expectations. We have sent that survey to the auditing companies and also the producers. And we have decided to revise our guidance package again the next year. In 2019, we organized a forum in Istanbul, and approximately 100 participants, including members, producers, NGOs, auditing companies, and UN agencies have participated. The supports and the incentives that have provided by those relevant organizations have been introduced. And then, the next page. We have revised our guidance document and after the roundtable, which we have introduced the incentives and supports provided by the several institutions, we have decided to create a new guidance as an index. It includes the incentives and supports provided by